G'day, it's Craig Wilkins here from Conservation SA. Just giving a quick members briefing on State Budget 2021. This budget was definitely delivered in the context of the pandemic and in the recovery process from last year's devastating bushfires and in preparing for next year's bushfires. The biggest surprise was actually an announcement to introduce a new road user charge for electric vehicles, which is deeply surprising and would happen nowhere else in the world. So this is going to be fiercely opposed, I think. The intention is to bring it in by July next year, if it happens. Let's go through some other areas. Transport. Massive spend on new roads, nothing much for cycling, nothing much for public transport. The biggest spend is on South Road, $8.9 billion, on top of $6.9 billion over 4 years for other spending. The biggest danger there is that it will suck up every single available dollar and bit of attention from the Transport Department for the next decade as this focus on cars and roads continues. When it comes to conservation and biodiversity and our national parks, there's a welcome investment of $130 million over the next 4 years in our parks. However, if you go through the figures in more detail, there's about $45 million on tourism attractions, rebuilding them on KI, $44 million on the Parks 25 initiative, which has an overwhelming focus again on visitor infrastructure, and about $28 million of that will be spent on increasing prescribed burdens in our park system. So in terms of actual genuine money for plants, animals, biodiversity, our beautiful nature places, there isn't much at all. And which was one thing we were disappointed about was in the wake of COVID, a group of conservation and farming groups put together a package for the government around a job stimulus, and there is nothing in the budget around that, which we think is a real shame. On the plus side, there's the first tranche of the funding for Conservation on Private Lands initiative, restoring heritage agreements, and that's very much welcome. In terms of energy transition, there's some welcome investment in energy efficiency for government buildings, for new EV charging, about $18 million there, and for solar and batteries. But in terms of the overwhelming challenge of biodiversity and climate change, we are still not seeing it from this state budget. If you'd like to find out more, please contact me at the Conservation Council. Thank you.